The Chicano movement, an important time for Mexican Americans. The Chicano movement occurred in the mid 1960s. Chicano leaders and community members were inspired by the civil rights movement and also wanted to fight for their rights and the injustices that they were experiencing. The fight that sparked it all, the fight for the farm workers. The purpose of this movement was for higher wages and better working conditions for the farmers. Everyone deserves protection and stability. The fight wasn't going to be easy. It took tons of dedication from this group of individuals to be able to pull off an unmemorable strike. In particular, there was one individual who felt a particular connection to this cause. Cesar Chavez was born in Arizona in 1927. He moved to California for the second time in June of 1939 and settled with his family in San Jose. He and his family worked in the fields of Brawley, Oxnard, King City, Salina, and Delano. Not only was agriculture always part of Cesar's life, but he had to experience it as well. He couldn't continue going to school because his father could no longer work in the fields. And Cesar didn't want his mother working, so he decided he wasn't going to go to high school. He started working as a farm worker himself. In 1946, he joined the U.S. Navy and 2 years later married Helen Fabela. They decided to settle in Delano, California. Cesar later in life returned to San Jose, where he and others discussed the issues regarding farm workers. Cesar also started working for Fred Ross, a well-respected community organizer, and was asked to complete his first ever community organizing service. Cesar learned skills and strategies on community organizing and what it is like to be a community organizer. Well prepared and experienced, Cesar Chavez founded the National Farmer Workers Association, which is now known as the United Farm Workers. They supported farm workers to push for better working conditions and better pay. The two most important events that happened within the time of the NFWA are the Delano Grape Strike and the Delano to Sacramento March. The Delano grape workforce is made up by 70% Mexicans. Although they make up a great amount of workers within the grape industry, the Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee went on strike first. Cesar Chavez heard about this and decided to gather everyone together because he thought this was a perfect moment to join the strike. Cesar Chavez was also extremely concerned about the pesticides that were harming the farm workers, often causing cancer and birth defects. Quoting Cesar Chavez from an interview with Manufacturing Intellect, he said, "In 1965, we made a demand that they stop using DDT, and we were told they couldn't raise grapes without DDT. In 1970, when we beat them, we were able to eliminate DDT and all those hard, harmful pesticides, and I think we'll do it again. We're pretty close to getting there." He was always confident in himself and the union. The NFWA officially decided to join the grape strike in 1965. The NFWA didn't have a strike fund and decided they didn't need one to proceed. They also decided the strike would not condone any violence. Lastly, the NFWA strike didn't just care about the rise in wages, but they also saw it as a way to gain union recognition. Over time, growers did start to complain about the strike, but ultimately it wasn't too big of a deal for them because they would often replace workers who left to go on strike because of the job demand and large immigrant families/populations. During the rain season, the NFWA would send members to go to the unloading centers where the grapes were being kept and place "do not eat grapes." They found ways to continue striking despite the rainy season. They also decided they were going to boycott Shinley products because they sold wine that was produced by their grapes, which liquor stores started boycotting and no longer buying their products later that December. While the strike and boycott was happening, the NFWA also had a march that consisted of 67 strikers who dedicated and walked 280 miles in 28 days from Delano to Sacramento. The 280-mile march started on March 16th. The strikers brought banners and posters dedicated to the strikes and figures of Catholic Virgen de Guadalupe. They started being written about in the Bay Area press, and thousands of people gathered and welcomed the farmers when they entered Fresno. During the march, they received a phone call from Cesar Chavez that NFWA had signed a form of recognition with Shinley Industries. Their new wage had now been increased by 50 cents for there to be no labor contractors. An individual organizer that, for a fee, employs people to perform work connected to the production of farm products. 10,000 people gathered together to welcome the marches as they made themselves into Sacramento. The long 28-day strike was coming to an end. The Chicano movement and the efforts of Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers marked a pivotal chapter in the fight for social justice and labor rights in America. Through perseverance, unity, and nonviolent protest, farm workers were able to bring national attention to their struggle for fair wages and humane working conditions. The Delano grape strike and the march from Delano to Sacramento inspired future generations to continue advocating for equality and dignity. Cesar Chavez's leadership and the collective action of countless individuals proved that meaningful change is possible when communities come together for a just cause. The legacy of the Chicano movement endures, reminding us that the pursuit of justice and respect for all the workers is a cause worth fighting for.